So, hi guys, welcome to another episode of Core Aura Podcast. My name is Satvir Kaur, and this podcast I've created to hopefully share uplifting, positive content, narratives to motivate, encourage, elevate others to go out there and make those positive changes for themselves, like work on their own well-being, work on their self-development even, and just really come out there and be and embrace your true, authentic self, right? Who would not want that? So my next guest, I'm so excited to bring on because it took a while to get it together, but I'm glad we're finally here. So I met him looking for guests for the second series because I'm all about that, raising the awareness of people that are doing such great things in their communities for themselves, that have overcome like adversities, really inspiring, and like I said, doing great stuff. Seen him on a episode of someone else's podcast, and I just loved what he was all about and what he was doing for his community. So we're talking about someone that's gone through personal experience that's led him to create his own CIC. The CIC is a community interest company, and not just any CIC, guys, an award-winning CIC that focuses on men's health, mental health, well-being, and other great stuff. His background being a professional dancer, he's currently a fitness trainer. He offers fitness services, coaching services, public speaker. I could go on and on, but I'll let him talk to you about it. But yeah, guys, welcome, Reiss.
Thank you very much, Satvir. That was a great introduction as well.
Did you like that? I'm like, seriously, what you're doing, I can't wait for people to hear about it. Do you know what I mean? So let's just start off, Reiss, by just doing a quick intro to who you are, your background, what it is you do, where you're based, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, perfect. So my name is Reiss Craig-Micheal Loftus, and I do run an award-winning system for mental health within the UK called the Brotherhood Legion.cic, and now a sister community interest company called the Sisterhood _Midlands. This has been my life for the past 3 to 4 years as I've transitioned into becoming a personal trainer. The prior 10 years to my life was me traveling the world as a professional dancer, which is something that I use it and I look back on as an influence and an inspiration for my story now when I tell people that I come from an environment that was struck with poverty, that is avid with crime and drugs, and where people don't get the leg up that that is needed for some people, or the support or the encouragement to go and do bigger things with their lives. Now I use that. I use all them teachings, use them experiences to basically better people's situations or pull them out of dark places that I might have been in myself, and just help give them some love and some support to go chase their dreams, like Satvir is talking about. Self development and self growth. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Like, seriously, like, this is why I was so excited to bring you on, because look at what you just spoke about. And imagine how that is going to inspire and influence other people and encourage them, like you just spoke about, and what you've been through. Do you know what I mean? And where you've come from. We want to use it as a form of encouragement to show people that we are capable of so much more. So I want to speak about, because I don't know if you've listened to my previous series, I spoke about a lot about my personal path and all about changes that I made to my life, which completely has changed who I am, like my whole new version of who I am, like whole outlook, it changed. And it took a kind of like making changes to myself. Part of the changes, now that I'm a whole new being almost, it was about having different experiences. In my first series, I spoke about experiences a hike. And this is the first experience I had of you, is because guys, I spoke in my first series about a hike that I wanted to experience. Someone told me about it, and I kind of put something in place. And this was in 2022 when I did my first series. So I had something in place as I was approaching 40. It didn't quite work out. So I kind of put that hike to the back of my mind, got on with other stuff. But since meeting Reiss and found out that he did hikes, I managed, guys, to have my first experience of a hike with him. And I not only did one, I did two. But this is something that we're going to speak on. But Reiss, I'm touching on my hike because I wanted to say about the whole experience I had on there and what you kind of created, that whole event, and what you kind of brought together, an amazing set of people, and just, yeah, it was just the best experience. And like I spoke to you about it, it was just a safe space where people were embraced, people were open to share how they felt, kind of thing, their life experiences, what they were going through. And I've never really experienced that. And what I loved about it as well is that it was a mixed group. So it was a safe space for like men and women to really come together and support one another. Bloody hell, the way society is going at the minute, do you know what I mean? The way it is between men and women. Not everyone wants to kind of subscribe to that. So seeing what you've created is such an amazing, positive space. And it was just so nice to experience that. And I've attended other events and other things that you do. But what I want to kind of know, learn about, is where do you get that initial passion to be doing this whole thing in the first place? What led you to even create this in the first place?
I'm so glad that you come on that hike, and you're exactly right. It's just a beautiful, beautiful way to get people out and then to get them in an environment where they do feel comfortable to just kind of let go. When you're out in the wild, you get a lot more grounded, and you kind of just are a lot more expressive, and you kind of let your guards down a little bit to just be a bit more relaxed. Which is one of the biggest benefits about getting out, and then you get to push yourself like you did on that hike, which is super cool.
I was going to say, because I'm so not used to outdoor activities, like, and it was my first experience of it. So as much as I was kind of naive to the situation, and I didn't know what to expect, I think a lot of it was my whole experience. It was positive. I really kind of struggled, like I did it, but I think a lot of it was the support around me, that really helped boost me and get me to the finish line. Otherwise, I'd still be up there.
But the fun thing is, like, just talking about that experience of that hike, is that the hike is one that was a very real experience that you had, but it's also a great metaphor for life. Like, life is the hike, it's like starting at the bottom of the hill and then making your way up to the peak and then realizing that there's another peak. But it's not easy, it's hard, and sometimes different things happen, like maybe the change of weather, and then there's different challenges that get thrown at us left, right, and center. But in life, life's a lot easier when you have people on your left to your right here that are encouraging, that are motivating, that allow you to believe in yourself, that you can achieve things that you once thought that you couldn't. And so it's a great example of the reality of what life is, that challenge of life, and then overcoming our obstacles, and then the benefit and then the power of being, having people behind you. So let me get back to your question. What was the drive of of the cause of bringing these people together? And it is a passion for people. I've always been a people's person. I've always, found people interesting. I traveled a lot with my mum, moving in different council estates around Leicester and that lot. So you learn to make new friends, and I've always kind of been empathetic to people as well, to their struggles and to their challenges, and just wanting to help people after seeing situations in my life where like people like my mom have held space, even when she was at a challenging time in her life. She opened her arms and her house to people that were at worst. So there's always been that burning sensation in my heart to help. So, and then being a dancer, we travel the world, we create new families, new teams, every year, and it's about motivating, it's about supporting, it's about uplifting each other, and giving each other that morale and that confidence to go out there and give the best show of our life, even on days that we don't feel like it. And so you learn that as well. You learn to embody that. You learn to embrace people for their differences, and learn how to communicate with people that require different ways of communication, soft touch, hard touch. And after coming out of dancing, that's the only thing that is aligned with who I am, and it was inevitable that I was going to move into coaching anyway. Out of dancing, becoming a PT is just one aspect of the whole round circular, holistic kind of movement that I'm trying to push to get people more in, involved with themselves and within their community, and within creating a better future, being proactive, being productive, in creating something better for themselves and changing the thought beliefs that they have. They're capable of doing such great things. So that's where the passion comes from. The passion comes from my environments, people helping me in my past as well. Um, backpedaling, before I went to performing arts college when I was younger. I went to performing arts college when I was 17, and that's pretty late to go to a professional dance college or to start classical or training as a dancer. I did do body popping when I was 14, and then street dancing when I was 15. And I went to the school I went to. You know, I had a 1-to-1. I was in all the lowest classes, so I left there with no grades practically. You know, I'm dyslexic. I had trouble reading. I had trouble writing. After I left school, I went to college and I booked out of college. So to give you kind of an image or you know, a viewpoint of my life, at 17, I had really no idea where I was going until this lady approached me on the street, which worked for the council, which gave me an opportunity to go to this private dance college. And my community, the council estate that I live on, raised and supported and funded all my dance gear, which was like £1,000 as well. So there was so many influences and so many like goodwill examples of people in my community supporting me and helping me change my whole life. These people just taking a step out of their way to put me up. That it changed, you know, my existence, my reality, in who I am as a man today. So it's a repay back. It's a
Yeah.
repay back. That's where the passion comes from. It comes from the things that have happened to me in my life, in me being able to have the power to go, I can do the same. I can put somebody up, or I can help somebody out of a bad situation, or I can help somebody believe in themselves.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Seriously. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So hearing how many people came into your life and just changed your life, for you to experience that and to go through that and then want to help others, it's just amazing. Like I said, to pay it forward is massive. And I love what you've created. So I want to learn more about, so how we mentioned like things that you offer, like hikes, that's just a small fraction of what you do and what the Brotherhood Legion is all about. So transitioning then, so from a professional dancer and then creating this, how did that all kind of evolve and come together?
Everything was peak tongue during lockdown. Nobody really knew what direction life was going in. As a performer, my entertainment business looked really shaky, looked really rocky, and there were also, you know, a lot of new requirements. If we were talking about on the concept of being vaccinated, a lot of jobs are only taking people that were vaccinated, that had so many jabs to travel to be in, you know, a group or an ensemble. And me personally, I wasn't ready to go down that avenue to sacrifice that autonomy, that decision of taking a vaccine when I was a perfectly healthy man. I'm a strong male. I'm a man that looks after himself. I train, I work out, I eat right. The science and the feeling of it wasn't right for me, so I had to have that conversation with myself, and I made the decision that I wanted more control over my life, over my business, over my future. And then if I was to end up in any situation like lockdown again, that I'd be able to provide a service, that I would be able to provide an income for myself and my family in the future. And that's when I thought, well, dancing, that isn't where it is for me. You know, going into coaching is going to be more efficient. And then also, you know, it's more empowering for me to pursue that passion for people, and then kind of um you know, help people live a healthier life and make healthier decisions for themselves than living in fear and disbelief and stuff like that, that I felt like a lot of people were in lockdown. So a lot of people needed to shake up, and a lot of people needed kind of reminder of their power, and then you know what health is about, um and the benefits of going about it, sometimes the long way or the most disciplined way, and how that will unfold tenfold for you in the future. So that kind of was the nudge. That was the catapult. And I feel like a lot of people had that moment in lockdown where they were like, I need to change career, or I need to really, you know, dig my feet and ask myself really what I want to do. Um, and this is what I want to do. So then as I come out of lockdown, I started doing the education for the personal training purposes, and then I started creating programs for men, which I called the Brotherhood program, which was just taking blokes whilst we were in lockdown, and we're giving them a routine, we're giving them a WhatsApp group, and we'll do group meetups, and we basically just created a small tight community of four of us that was checking in on each other on a regular basis, that was motivating each other to get down and do a little bit of exercise, trying new experiences like meditation, affirmations, foresight in vision meditations, and manifestation, self-talking tapes, and then like cold showers and all these other things that kind of just boost your morale and just kind of boost your resilience. And it worked massively. It really helped me, really helped the other three lads. Some of them stopped smoking for the month. It wasn't 100% perfect, but life's not about being 100% perfect. It's about applying yourself, on a regular basis to be a bit better than you was yesterday. So, and that's exactly what it did. And then I was doing more lives and more lives and more podcasts with people talking about, had the power of, meditation, affirmations, the power of, self talk, and visualization. And it just, the more I became in that mental health space, people were coming up to me in the aspect of like, okay, that you should join my friend. He's a mental health first aider. You should create a page. You should create a Facebook page. So I reached out to this gentleman, but this gentleman ended up being too busy. So I just took it upon myself to make it. And then this sounds funny, but I didn't plan to get this far. I didn't plan to be like, okay, the X, Y, and Z with the Brotherhood. It kind of just snowballed into what it was. It snowballed into the movement, and it was more so also an accountability process for me, because touching on what we've not spoke about yet, I've gone through a long relationship backwards and forwards with substance abuse. Be it cocaine, be it a bit ketamine, be it a bit ecstasy pills, just all the little party drugs that people used to take, or yeah, I've been in and out of substance abuse for many years, since I started smoking weed at the age of 14. Um, so I needed a place, I needed a community to kind of hold me down, to keep me tight, keep me accountable as well. And that's what the Brotherhood was. So it was my focus, it was my pinpoint, it was my way of channeling my energy into something to take me out of a version of myself that I no longer belonged. And walking into the version that I am today, and the one that I'm trying to create on a day-to-day basis, of just trying to, become that more grounded individual, one that is more focused, more wiser, more settled and connected to his emotions and his experiences, to try and get the best out of life. So yeah, so we moved into it like that. We started by just asking people to come and join us for a session on the park on a Sunday, and the Sunday group grew and grew. And then we had the WhatsApp chat as well. So, and then I thought, well, let's have a session on Saturdays, and we had sessions on Saturdays where we'd meet and have a coffee and a chat. And then they kept growing, and the numbers kept multiplying, and then I started putting on more charity events. So we do a lot within the community. If it's helping the homeless, if it's giving back to the youth, giving back to other outreach centres that are involved with women, or them as a general, feeding people at Christmas, doing multiple events where we give out free haircuts, free clothes, free food to the public as well. And we offer free coaching for some of the members. We've renovated houses for some of the members that are really struggling. It's so much more than a mental health group. It is what it says at the end, that CIC, a community interest group. So, and it's just building on building on building. Every year it gets bigger, and it's all because of the community. The community tell me they relay what they want, and I try and make things happen aligned with what the community wants, and then what's best for the group.
Yeah, and well done in doing that. Like, seriously, you've gone through so much. That's what I mean. It's your personal experience that has helped as well, push you to do all this. And it's so encouraging, and to create such a space for like men especially is something which not it's nice to see now that more groups are emerging and it's being more acknowledged, because that is a kind of societal problem that we do have with men's problems and what they suffer with. They're not as expressive about it as women are able to be. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice that the awareness is being raised about it, and highlighting it and creating such spaces that men are comfortable seeking out and going to. With you mentioning as well your background with the whole substance abuse and overcoming, you offer such a lot of experience. And this is going to be very reassuring and encouraging to people that are listening, because a lot of people are going through the same struggles, feel like they're going through such a low point, they don't have that support. So this is what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is create something, a network where people are aware of people that have overcome their own adversities and have created something good from it, where they're helping others and they're serving in their communities and helping one another, because that's what it's all about. And I did want to raise as well, speaking to some of your members when I have attended a few of your events, they speak so highly of you and how much you've helped and been instrumental in their whole healing journeys as well. And sometimes it takes that going through your own adversity to offer that right support and reassurance, because a lot of experiences, a lot of it is lived experiences. Sometimes you have to live through something to really gain those tools, that experience, that knowledge to help pass on to others. So it's to help them as well to realize what's within them. And I wanted to like reassure others that change can happen, and being around the right support and taking the right steps as well, because it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? But I want people to be aware there are spaces that are going to offer you that support and help you step by step to get you where you need to be.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. I think sometimes you just need a friend. You just need somebody to just kind of, already clarify what you know. You know, sometimes we can go around in our own heads about situations um, that we're struggling with, and then sometimes it just takes that person to be like, "No, you're right," or actually just take it, take
Yeah.
take a step back, and then maybe try it this way. We get so much further when we kind of discuss who we are and what we are and what we want um, with other people, but just someone believing in you, somebody, you having an idea, and instead of being around people that are like, oh, I don't know if that'll work, or are you really qualified for that, or you'll probably be good at it for a week, and then you probably won't stick at it. Things like this that
Yeah.
people say a lot. People around you will be like, oh yeah, well, you'll probably quit it in a week. You'll probably, and there's no belief. But having someone around you going, why not go for it?
Yeah.
100%. What's to lose? And then and making you feel okay about if things do go wrong, it's okay, and that you've got some you can kind of lean back on people that are going to be there. Like, okay, then well, that didn't happen. That's not the way you wanted it to work, but you're still alive. We're still breathing. We've still got time and energy. We've still got we've still got a whole life in front of us to try again, to try something different. Now we know wait, it didn't work. It's stuff like that, or if you're just in a real bad headspace and you need to get out of your environment, your circle that you have at the minute, and you can just go and train or have a coffee with somebody that is not in your intermediate family or friends, and just be like, I'm having a shit time, and then be like, I understand, I get it.
That's
You know
it.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
and and, and I'm not trying to look back at your history. I'm not trying to look at anything.
Yeah.
I'm just taking you as who you are right now,
Yeah.
and letting you express yourself. It can mean the world to people. It can literally just drop so much weight off their chest, or like a lot of the time in life, you'll find us as individuals, we create so many different characters for different rooms and environments, and even to our friends and our family, the people that we grow up, we get molded into this character that's a load of different impressions of our environment, our family, our friends, that kind of put us in a place within a certain friendship group or within the family dynamics and stuff like this. um and sometimes it's not the character that it's not the personality or the avatar that we want to be. And when you go and be around new people,
Yeah.
you can kind of let go of all that.
Yeah.
You can kind of let go of that ego that you have and that camaraderie that you're with your friends, and you kind of have to act that tough guy, or that joker character, and you can just kind of lean back and relax, and kind of let people take you as a fresh slate, which is really, really encouraging, which is really, really nice. And that there as well is empowering. So I always say to people, go and move out your city. You want to find out who you are again, go and move out your city, go and travel and stay away from the country for a while, and then ask yourself, after you've been away for a month, like, how different am I? Like, am I talking the same way? Am I trying to fight for the right to be heard in this environment, in this circle? Or, am I a lot more relaxed? Am I a lot more playful? Am I a lot more confident? Because some people can put a ceiling on. Some rooms can be really low, and when we go and find ourselves out into new environments and new circles, we kind of get to, push back on them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
environment and people, it's really important to have that sort of tribe, that sort of community that allows you to, you know, be different or not not expectations of you
Yeah.
so low and that anything's possible. But
100%.
also it will keep you accountable,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Finding your tribe that's on the same vibe. Because sometimes people are in current states where they're feeling a bit low. They want to make those changes, but their current environment is not allowing for that change. And we do, don't we? We get too comfortable around our support systems we have in place, thinking that they're the right ones. But when you want to grow and evolve, just improve yourself. People around you aren't always going to get that. So you have to really kind of leave those spaces and join new ones. And that's what I've found on my path of like, I call it self discovery because up until I made those changes back in 2020 in lockdown, like you said, a lot of people made changes, positive and negative. Do you know what I mean? But there was a massive, I think, a mass awakening of people where they were questioning stuff and they were really self-reflecting because like you said, lockdown, COVID, vaccination, all that jazz really created a divide between people, and you really got to see the realness in people. And then people then really valued life more and they wanted to kind of make some changes where if things were to end now, do you know what I mean, down to COVID, you don't want to go down like that. I know for sure that I knew I'd have lots of regret. I knew that was my wake up call to make these certain necessary changes in my life. And again, with the whole vaccination thing, I was restricted to even do shifts at the hospital as a midwife. But I didn't want that kind of control. I wanted to be more of an autonomous and sovereign being that we're supposed to be. And I think I got a bit of an awakening there in 2020 when it's all locked down. And yeah, time to think and do that because before my whole outlook on life was not good. And since making those changes, like how you speak with the whole motivational and encouraging people and really elevating them and letting them know about the power that's within. I wasn't one of those people and I didn't realize that the power was within me. Do you know what I mean? So it's only now applying such principles to my own life after kind of looking into it that I'm creating such a whole new version of myself and I'm evolving into a whole new person that I'm like, it's unexplainable. Even some things of how I've even got myself here is unexplainable because of I was at, but I know I was at such a low point in my life that it was now or never. Like I had to make some changes. Like if I really wanted better for myself, I realized it's all down to myself. Like it's not easy to make those changes. Do you know what I mean? And you, like you said, you won't get that support around you, but there is support if you step out and trust in yourself because it is scary to make these changes. Like we're so conditioned to think a certain way. And by making these changes, it's tough. Do you know what I mean? But you've really, if you really want to make these changes and you really want to better your life and you want the things that you want, it does take that commitment. It takes that dedication to making those changes and finding the right support around you. And like you said, those that kind of nearby that are so used to a different version of you, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Um, yeah. So I went off on a tangent there.
Well done to you, Satvir. Well done to you as well.
Thank you. Like seriously,
Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to, swim against the current. It takes a lot to go on your
that's
own and then
it.
also have that lonely period or be in that lone soldier, that lone cowboy where you're kind of traveling by yourself for a while, where you're leaving your old paradigm and you're moving into, the next version or the next chapter of your life. And, people do stay behind you. And then people do, they do, they, they don't see your vision. They don't have your mind. They don't see the path. So that they portray it as less, or they see it as you thinking you're better than them, or that they might see, they'll be, they'll be negative within the viewpoint of it. But sometimes it's not even it's not personal to you and the
Yeah.
fact that they don't want you to win. It's just that they're kind of sometimes they're scared to lose a friend, and
Yeah.
they're scared to lose somebody that they like, and they can see you drifting away from them. Or sometimes it's actually you're shining a mirror on some of the attributes or some of the insecurities that they have about themselves that is holding them back, and that kind of frustrates them a bit. There's loads of different reasons why people, we fade away from each other, and some people don't support you and they don't appreciate you going about it on your own. um, but it's something that you have to be okay with. It's something that you have to accept that I'm not going to take it personal. I'm not going to take it personal that none of my friends or my family support my goals, that support my business, that support, my vision. Because the end of the day is there will be people that support you. There will be people that get behind you, and it's your life. So you're doing it for you. You're not doing it to please your friends and for the satisfaction of them buying into whatever you're selling, or sharing whatever your service is. Your value isn't coming off their thumbs up. It's coming off the effort of you trying to, create something for yourself, and you are the creator. So you just got to show up every day. Don't put too much on the victory. Put it all on the path, and then the day-to-day workings of doing something that you want to choose to do.
Yeah. I love that. And this is what I want to encourage other people to do as well. Yeah, so how open your group is and how diverse it is. That's what I loved about it. And it was non-judgmental, because how we just spoke on, people have that fear, don't they, of speaking up around those about the change they want to make, even how they're feeling. And what I noticed about your group and some of your members, just the diversity of it. Like, it's just accessible to everybody. I loved how inclusive it was, because being Asian and coming from the Asian community, I know for one, mental health is not spoken enough about. It's slowly emerging now, groups, which is amazing to see. But because we're so close sometimes and close knit in our community, they have that fear of opening up about speaking on their stuff, and it'll get through to somebody else within the community and they'll know about their business. So I love that what you've created, where you can come and you're not going to be judged, because a lot of that is people's fears within other communities, I guess, as well. Like, because it's very much, it's almost like shame is put upon it at times. If you're talking about that mental health, a lot in our community is just kind of ignored, so it's quite a hard one. So I do love that I see your groups are open and diverse and allowing that space for people to come away from their communities and come to something where they're not going to be judged and just free to express and grow and just help better themselves. Do you find that as well? So people from different communities speak of their struggles within their communities.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. The dynamic of the brotherhood and the sisterhood is massive. The diversity of it. Yeah, we have men and women of all different ages, backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, and they all speak upon the struggles of cultural differences, of being able to speak your piece and being able to have a word, because some cultures you don't get a word. So, your voice doesn't matter. If you're a woman, and then your placement as a man in within the family unit, and what your requirements are to fulfill in that placement of being a man or being a woman. So, it's very brave for people in them sort of situations to come out, and then to find solitude and to find a place where they can be like, you know what, this is this is what I've been holding in for so long. This is what's like kind of eating me away, and this is kind of what's holding me down from being who I want to be. And it's empowering as well. It's super empowering to see people if they're coming from religious backgrounds, um, and cultural differences where it's so, it's so it's like mocked. Talking about your mental health is mocked. Like, there's no such thing as a mental health within certain cultures. Say Indians, 'cause we're talking about you being Indian culture. The dynamics between men and women are very different. Polar opposites. They everybody has a requirement to make somebody happy. You've got to, as Indian kids, you have to look after your parents when you get older. So you have a responsibility, to look after these individuals. If I've got men in my group that are Asian men that are gay. And that is like, that's a no-go. That's a massive no-go in the culture. within the family and that, like, to come out. So to have a place to be able to talk about that, and to be accepted for that is massive. And yeah, just to be showing any sort of emotion. Men are meant to be stern. They're meant to be, gladiators. They're meant to be alphas, and you know, that is not a part of the normal everyday today. To say that you're not coping, to say that you're depressed, or you've got, you struggle sometimes with anxiety. It's like, shut up, don't be daft, get on with your life. And so, yeah, I see it all the time. And it's even without cultural differences, it's even in environmental
Yeah.
differences. It's even in, like, growing up. If you grow up in an estate where it is, it's quite competitive. So we're talking about where I grew up in Broxton. It's quite competitive. It's quite aggressive within the male collective. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of robbery. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of kind of yeah, well, you'd say alpha competition. It's like, we're stronger than you. This side's harder than that side for the postcodes, and everybody's like trying to claim a status within their manhood to be respected, and that there as well. So, and then when you move out of that environment, you kind of have to learn that actually you can be more gentle. You don't have to be so dominant in every environment, you don't have to assert yourself in it. Actually, you can show emotions. You can be vulnerable, where in their old circles, that's seen as weakness. It's seen as being too soft, and then you'll get the mick taken out of you. Or you'll get it'll be a joke. There'll be a joke on it. So, and then that stops them from reaching out,
Yeah.
because the judgment. It's always the fear of judgment. What will people think about me?
It's just nice for a space for men to come together. There's a lot of just pressures with them, as well as women, younger women as well, for sure. This is what I wanted to raise as well. Like, you're young and you're doing such great things at such a young age. And I see that as a kind of an inspiration and really influential to the younger generation, especially like males and what they're going through in society as well. They kind of need that guidance. They need more positive influences out there. Do you know what I mean? And I'm bringing up a son myself, and it's all about that, because the younger generation, like how we said, it is out there right now for men and women. The whole kind of, don't want to talk too much about it because my podcast is not about that. We're all about positivity, positive change, and about elevating ourselves. We don't speak too much about the external, what's going on. But we do know in society sometimes, like, there's a bit of a disconnect at the moment between men and women, and it's quite toxic, some of the stuff. But I find, because I'm older, I kind of observe it and don't really subscribe to it. We don't kind of fall for it. But the younger generation may, because they're at that impressionable age. So with what you're doing and encouraging others, the younger generation, I think it's just so encouraging and influential. And I think it's just inspiring. And we need more of this. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I'm smiling because you call me young, but I am young. But I'm 34 now, so I'm not the spring 18-year-old. But
You
what
know,
do you call it? Yeah, the generation, more so with social media now. There's a lot of content out there that does divide men and women. You want to be an example. You want to be
yeah.
a leader in what we want for our future. As Michael Jackson says, you want to make a difference. You got to look at the man in the mirror.
I love
I mixed two songs. You got to make a difference. Um, but anyway,
it.
it's that essence of, like, I believe the youth nowadays, they need a good mentor, they need good examples, and they don't have them anymore with how society's dropped, and a lot of the care systems and interventions that we used to have when I was younger, with youth clubs, with patrolling officers and youth care support workers that used to be around in the neighborhood, in the streets, the neighborhoods, like it's America, the estate that I grew up on. And they're influenced by a lot of stuff that's on the internet. A lot of the division, and a lot of a small minority of the reality that we live in is magnified to seem as it's the general, when it isn't the truth. Men and women don't hate each other. A lot of men and women do want, um, you know, authentic relationships that are going to go somewhere. but they are against their system. They are against their phones and the overwhelming choice of something new, and it's something new might be better when we need to ground ourselves in actually, trying hard and working hard on something that's good will make it great, and then we'll make it so much more than chucking it away. And everything is throwawayable. It's throwable. It's breakable. We're so easily to jump onto the next boat when we need to just think, take care of something that's good, like I said, and just nurture it into something that's better, that's more valuable. It's life's about endurance, I think, and I think we've just we fell out of that, but I think that's because of the phones. It's
Yeah.
dating apps nowadays. They're hard. They're hard for men. They're hard for men. They're hard for women, but more so for men. I believe, because you could create a dating app, you could create a profile as a woman, and you'll get likes all day. Um, but a man won't. The average man won't get any likes at all. Very hardly, especially if he's not under, if he's under, 5'9" or something. He even less. People are setting their heights, but nevertheless, you know anything that you want, I think you have to go and get in life. And
Yeah.
there are people out there that do want relationships. There are situations out there that will help you grow. But what we do is we foresee it as, oh no, it's not going to work for me, or there ain't out there, or there's no good women, there's no nothing. Actually, you're just not in the you're not in the space, you're not trying. But you also have to be presentable. You have to be, you as a man also have to understand, and women, what do we give to another person?
What I loved about you is that you've created such an open space amongst men and women. Do you know what I mean? A more healthier space where we're learning from another, and you're growing and you're learning about experiences. And I think that's key, is to learn about men's experiences, women's experiences going forward, and just to help then guide the younger generation, because you don't want to kind of lead with at the moment the way it's heading. We just want to kind of redirect it to another way.
Yeah, when I do the events, a lot of the events with the men and the women is to kind of connect them again and help them realize that they can have safe conversations with the opposite sex,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be about trying to set up a date. And I think it can be platonic, and it can be just like, we are human beings at the end of the day. We can
100%.
appreciate each other for who we are, and no matter what the sex is. Yeah.
And what was your reason for even setting up the sisterhood group as well?
The reason I set up the sisterhood group is because
Yeah.
I've been asked many times to do it, but I was always like, it's a lot of effort, a lot of time that goes into the brotherhood. But I did it because I wanted my sister, my older, well, she's younger, but my oldest at too. I wanted her to have a community like that I built for the men, a support system, because she's been through her own challenges, her own adversity in life with some disgusting men. And it's good to have solid women around you that, that might have been through similar experiences, that are also, but or just that are encouraging you to get out there, be and keep pushing on, keep fighting for your future, and
Mm.
believing that you're a beautiful person, you're a beautiful soul, and that you've got a lot to offer the world, and more so yourself. Just doing it for yourself. And not for anybody else, but putting that light back into each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I created it for her, but
Oh, I love that.
she's very busy all the time. She didn't make it that much. But that was it. That was the initial.
I love that you've set that up for your sister. Like, it's helping a lot more other women as well. Like, you know what I mean? And I've attended a few of your events that you put on for the women, and it is such a supportive group. And again, they speak so highly of you. So you're doing a great thing there as well, and impacting them in such a great way as well. You can see the growth in them. They're loving what you bring to them, which is really good. Right. What I want to do, so I want to go a bit more into specifics then. So we touched on a few things that you offer, like your programs, your support services. Just go through a few of them again, like the types of programs that you offer, the support that you offer to help navigate challenges.
Down with the session plans that we run that are consistent every weekend. They are a conversational and a movement process. So Saturdays we have a space where, for men and for women, they meet at different coffee shops, and they just have a communal where they catch up on life, maybe share some of their challenges, and share some of their successes, and yeah, create new friendships. On them events there, we do very frequently have people that will come in and of their trained professionals. Recently we've had like a CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy. We've had a hypnosis therapist come in. We've had a artist come in, and they've held sessions built around, mindfulness and then arts therapy as well. To give people different perspectives, give people different ways of thinking about their challenges and their emotional connection to them challenges, which is really cool, really, 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 really valuable. We do on Sundays, the day after, what we do is the physical session. So it's a session where we run physical sessions. I teach if it's circuit training, strength training, and then once again we sometimes bring instructors which will do playfulness, kind of mechanisms of movements, if it's breath work as well, if it's yoga, if it's like boxing and boxercise, these different trainers that add different levels of kind of movement, anything. And then we do them hikes like we're talking about. We take them on hikes, we take them on day trips to get them out and about moving as well. And then so they're our foundation. They're our foundation, but also laid over that is the group chat on the social media, which is comes through WhatsApp, and then this is place they can talk to each other whatever time of the day. They can gain advice, or they can just share something that's weighing them down a bit, or celebrate something that they're going through. And this is where you see a lot of the magic as well. You see, maybe it's 2 in the morning, somebody needs a little chill wagon, somebody replies to them. Maybe, it's them passing a driving test or something. And maybe it's them sharing their birthday, and then the lads organise a little birthday party. I've organised so many parties over the 3 years, and I've had men come up to me and go, "No one's ever done this for me. No one's ever organised me a surprise party. No one's ever created a birthday party for me and gone out for a meal where they've shared a lovely dinner with, like, 8, 10 lads. No one's. I've never had Christmas with a group of people. I've never, all these little things that people take so much for granted because they've got a good support system around their family unit, or they've got a good friend circle that like really extend themselves to each other. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of men don't have. There was a statistic or something that, by the age of 50, men don't see any of their close friends at all. And this was both in November, and he was talking about the stats of how men fade away from their childhood friendships and stuff like that, and what 1/3 of men don't have a friendship group, and don't see their close friends on a frequent basis. And then you also think about the Harvard study on human development, which says one of the most key fundamentals to longevity is valuable relationships. Men live longer, we live longer when we have more valuable relationships, ones that mean something to us. And that's a big attribute to better well-being and health in life. So, that's where some of the real glory comes from. These creating a friendship circle within men, within women, that extend past the weekend sessions. And then we get into the charity events, and then we get into the big socials of the charity football games, or like pool nights or gamer nights. And the hashtag look and feel good event where we give out the free haircuts, free clothes, free food. And then, other avenues, the men's retreat that we do, one coming up in July. We're doing a women's retreat as well, mini women's retreat coming up in June, in 4 weeks, where that'll have like yoga, dancing, breath work, sound baths. And then it'll just be a great space for a load of women to come. When we did the men's retreat, 40 men came to our first retreat, and it was one of the most profound kind of step back moments that I've ever experienced in my life. We had yoga, breath work, we had fire and ice, where we did like sauna and ice baths. So we had sound baths, all these things that I'd never really experienced fully, especially as a collective. And then was profound. And you did that with 40 men from all different layers of life, all different careers, some homeless, some very welfare. And it wasn't, what do you do for work? This is what I'm trying to do, step up the ladder. And I think it was, people were just talking about honest emotional maturity, honest emotional health. They led with their hearts, and people really let themselves, go, and it was powerful. And men don't get that, and they don't get that. And even women now, women struggle, I think, to connect deeply with other women as well. You know, I think they hold up a persona, a very competitive persona and character sometimes, that they don't want to seem that they don't have all their stuff together as well. Women want to seem in control. You know, especially if their parents, especially if you know they're bringing up their family, or they're bringing up kids and stuff like this, and maybe they're going about it on their own, and they don't want to seem as that they can't cope. So they, you know, they put on a really stern, strong personality, when really they also need to just let go. They also need to just kind of let people in, and you know, and they also reap the benefits of
Yeah.
all these sort of experiences.
Nice. And it's finding that safe space to do that. Do you know what I mean? We're losing that human connection, aren't we? And people are kind of distancing themselves from one another. So I love the kind of groups that you guys are creating and all the events you put together, because it's about that, isn't it? Human connection and things that we all go through, what we can open up about. You'll find the person you're talking to has gone through the same thing. They may have experienced it differently, but the emotions and everything we go through is all the bloody same. Do you know what I mean? And I want people then to realize as well, by connecting, we can all help one another out, because that's what it's all about. Just living your best freaking life and being happy, getting yourself from a negative state to a positive state. And everyone's here living their personal path, their personal life. They've got their own expectations and what they want for themselves, and we kind of lose that. And I think a lot of it is through lack of human connection and a lack of people opening up as well, in fear of feeling like they're the only ones feeling that. So I love that there are spaces where people are openly expressing it to encourage others to come forward, because I think that's what's definitely needed.
I agree with you.
Okay, so what I want to do to offer like anyone listening, because I also work with the CIC, and I think would really benefit from what you offer, just to encourage them and elevate them. So I want to hear, Reese, of a success story or a milestone that highlights the amazing and positive differences that you've made within your CIC and in the community. So can you tell us of like a success story, just to encourage anybody out there that you've
Yeah,
helped?
massively. I've got, yeah. So you know, there's there's multiple stories, multiple men and women. The women's group's quite fresh, it's quite new, but already, there's examples within both groups. Let me start with the men.
Yeah.
So one of my directors, Nitesh, Indian male, come to this country. He studied here in university. He was at a very low point in his life when we met, when we connected. He was very pessimistic. He was, his weight was out of control, and his intrusive thoughts were very, very destructive. Now, me and him sat down for a coffee like 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago now. We sat down for a coffee, and we we had a moment where I listened to him, you know, and I heard him for the struggle that he was going through, and then what I did is I gave him a friend. I gave him a place that he could come and work at, and he could come and try and find community, find some support, and then go against some of the thought beliefs that he had. I gave him a voice in his ear that was helping him realize that there is other ways to talk to yourself, and that the world isn't so bad, and that there is light in life. And this man kept showing up, and then he lost his job, and he fell right back down. And then he sent me this picture, he sent me this image, and it was of a knife, and he was wanting. He was like, "I want to take my life. Give me the courage to take my life. This is the end." And then once again, poured him back into the community, back into the group, took him out, sat him down. We broke down what was going on in his mind, and then we kind of set kind of a different perspective, of an outside view of it, and then of just a daily evaluation, or goal of just trying to tackle things in small bits. And fast forward now. So to a man that was overweight, to a man that had a very pessimistic mind, that struggled to connect with other people, this man has an incredible body. He has an incredible mind. He's fell into a new faith now as well. That's given him loads of empowerment within himself, in his lessons that he's learning through Krishna. But he's a leader. He brings new people into the group. He speaks for the group, and his whole demeanor's changed. Like, it's beautiful to see men that come in, they doubt themselves, don't know their own power, their own potential, and then just see the worst in life's in lessons and in the worst in the world, and then to see them totally change their perspectives, the way that they act, the way that they talk about themselves, and the way that they perceive it, and the way that they connect with other people is exactly what the group's for. So I've seen men come into the group and not be able to talk. They just stand in the corner and then say one words, in their social anxiety is through the roof. And then that same man that's been in the group now for a year and a half is like going out and with old school friends and into social events, and then creating reunions for his old school friends, and at one point where he was shaking to actually have a conversation, is now initiating rooms full of conversations, and he's changing career, going from building and construction into health and well-being, and supporting other people on the sites with their mental health, with their self-care, and being that voice, that he struggled to even use at one point. And there's just many examples of that, men trying to take, me ringing the ambulance and getting the ambulance out there to men that are trying to take their own lives, and then having people at the group go and see them in when they've been hospitalized, when they've been sectioned, and then now they're still a part of the group, and they're still reaping the rewards, and they're back into work and stuff like this. um you know that there is the gold of what we do. And then for the women, we've had the same. We've called the ambulance out for women. We've had women that have struggled to get up out of bed and do things, and then women within the community go around and help them clean their house, help them with their washing, and just give them that extra bit of support. And letting people within these groups making smaller groups, so now they've created friendships that will last a lifetime. um, and this is what it's about. They're the success stories. It's men walking into the environment when they might have lost a child and their head's totally gone, and they don't even know what it is to exist anymore, and then giving them some hope, giving them some light in their life, and them making new friends, or just having a place to come, and feel like they're accepted, is the life changing experience that it holds. And then the group, yeah, my self development in itself, is something to be extremely proud of. From where I was, from where I was in my addictions, and my, the confusion of myself, and yeah, finding my power. And then yeah, somebody, there's big wins. There's just you came to a event, the hashtag Look Good Feel Good event that we just ran, a Friday ago. We've run that like multiple times the past 3 years. And every time we run it, you know that one day has a profound effect on many people's lives.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people come through the door. They get clothed. They might get a face shaven, and their fresh fade. They get fed, and they have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
They probably haven't spoken to somebody that's listened properly in a long time.
Yeah.
They're massive milestones. They all mean
Yeah.
stuff. You know.
100% massive impact, like honestly, and even those individual stories that you spoke of, like that's amazing progress, and I wish them all the best. I bet as well for you to see that growth, becoming a new version of themselves, like the confidence and just the whole change of the mindset. I bet that's really rewarding for yourself as well. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it does something, doesn't
There's
it?
nothing better. There's nothing
Mm,
better in this world to wake up and to be a positive influence on the people around you. And you have to be that for it to work. For it to work, you have to genuinely be it. And I'm genuinely trying to better my own life, trying to
yeah.
self progress and develop my own life, trying to find how to grow into, a a better version of myself, in the aspect that I know more about myself. I can feel my triggers. I can understand where they come from. I can, emotionally understand myself on a different level, and detach away from certain parts of myself that are not going to push me back into that life that I used to live that was, dysfunctional, that was chaotic, and that was destructive. Um, and it's a process. I'm a work in progress. I'm not the finished product. I'm not perfect in any way, and that's the beauty of it. None of us are, and this is where I'm going to meet you. I'm going to meet you at the part where we're both saying that we've got work to do, and then some days I'm gonna, I'm not going to be great, and I might even take a step backwards. But I've got the tools and the realization and the awareness to actually now sense myself and then get back onto moving in the direction that I want. And and to see that with somebody else, to see somebody be doing better for themselves and to believe in themselves and all that, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Woo! To
Yeah.
that. I love it. It's amazing. Like seriously, that's so reassuring and encouraging for others because that's what it's all about, the impact you're making within your community, but the whole change within yourself is just so inspiring and what you've overcome. And it's a reminder as well to others and hopefully a form of encouragement to show that I know for sure I was very limited in my capabilities, my whole outlook on how I looked at myself. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was quite limited, but it was only opening up myself to a whole new bloody world and becoming this whole new version of myself. I realized that as humans, we're so capable of so much more. And it took me working on myself to realize that because I never thought that I was capable of that until I started making these small changes, but they made such a big difference, but so much of a big difference that I felt it and I was just like, what is this? I want more of it. And you naturally then want to evolve because you want to become that better version of yourself, don't you? Because it just changes your whole mindset up. Changes your whole mental state. Um, but yeah, so it's amazing. So I love what you do and all that. How you even speak, like I can imagine. Well, not imagine. I've seen it firsthand how that's helping people. I've heard like testimonials from people to say how much you've impacted their lives and given them the tools to find that within themselves to make that change as well. Like, do you know what I mean? And to be responsible for that is just an amazing thing. Like, you should feel so proud of what you're creating here and so much more to come. Like, this is just the start of it, the
So much
impact
more
you
to come. We only just started. We ain't even
yeah.
started yet. That's the point. We ain't even started yet. Yeah.
And you can feel it 100%. Like, you're not expected to just stay here and just do this. There's so much more to come. Like, I feel it. And I'm so glad that I've got a front row ticket to see it. Like,
Well, you and me both, and I'm delighted that we've had this connection, and now that we are friends, so I can also see your progression as well.
you
It's a
appreciate
special
that.
thing, and this is what it's about. It's about bouncing off each other,
Yeah.
and magnifying and amplifying that feeling of success, of
Yeah.
seeking things that are bigger than where we are right now. That manifests it, because
Yes.
you don't get it, do you? You don't. It's like intoxicating when you actually sit down with somebody and you kind of get love drunk off success, or like love drunk off, like, dreaming of
Where
bigger
things are
goals.
going.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you like, I sit down with people sometimes and we start talking about their goals or their ambitions, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And what about this? Or you should talk to this, and you should try this.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, you should definitely go for that. And I think that you're amazing at doing it. And then you just like lift each other up, and then that
100%.
just boom, pulls back the bow and allows them to just go out and get it.
Yes.
Well, and then you
And
could be in a room and talk about stuff, and everyone's like, just kills the conversation. Just like, so, so it's
yeah.
so good. It's so good to like be around the people that are into self development. Understand that people
Yeah.
are all at different places as well.
Definitely. But having that excitement for what's ahead, do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And I want to instill that in others because I was at a point where I wasn't looking forward to the future, even where I was currently. And I was too much looking into the past, like, and having that regret and those coulda, woulda, shouldas. And if I made different decisions, questioning my decisions and my choices that I made. Whereas I wasn't looking forward to the future. But that's what life's all about, isn't it? Bloody being excited for what's to come and knowing that you're in control of it. And you've really helped me at times when had a few wobbles here and there, and you've really elevated me and given me the confidence and spoke to me in a way to push me. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because sometimes you when you do voice your concerns or whatever, you don't want anyone to sit and wallow with you. You need that guidance where someone's going to be like, okay, this is the way you're feeling, however, we're not going to stay here, we're going to do something about it. And you're very much like that. That's why the impact you're making in your community, in your group, people, just in general, is just massive. So I hope you bloody realize that. It's so good. Like, seriously, your whole mindset and the way you think, your outlook on life. I know for sure I had to kind of learn this way of thinking in order to make changes to my life. Like, I had to really look it up almost. Like how we spoke about the whole motivational speech and encouragement like that. Um, where did you learn this from? Have you kind of always had that belief? Do you know what I mean? Because not everybody does have this outlook and thinking towards
I
life like.
think I think mine come from, I don't know. I think I was the first child in my house, and one of them in my family. So I got picked up a lot. I'm from a big family, so you have to shout to be heard.
Yeah,
And so I've always kind of had not overwhelming, but I've had above me confidence because I was really small as well. So
yeah,
I've always had this kind of small man confidence when I was a kid, to make sure that the bigger lads would notice me, and then
yeah,
and to express myself. So watching, I think, like I said, watching my mum as well when as I grew up, kind of be that kind of workhorse that she, like, as in like looking after people, and kind of like digging deep and like just pushing through life when life was tough. I think that kind of builds a resilience in you, and then that kind of like gives you an attitude that you can do things. And yeah, at the same time, it's one of those things. It's like when I was a dancer, when I was 14, 15. I loved dancing. I did dancing because I loved it. I didn't really have a big idea of where I was going to go at that age. I just loved dancing. So I started dancing, and it made me really popular within our community. I was in
yeah.
the local carnival, and I'd go to these under 18s nappy nights at Zanzibar, and like,
Nice.
just lick up some shapes, and like I was named like this little white boy that could dance because a lot of my friends as well in the community is like going into jam jar, we're African Caribbean, so it was unusual to see this little white boy bopping out some shapes. So that kind of grew my confidence a lot with being outgoing with new people.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I've kind of always embodied it. And then once I left school, and like I said, I left school. I didn't have any strong grades. I went to college for a few weeks, and then they wanted me to go back into. They tested me for dyslexia again, which obviously I knew we knew I had, and they put me back in maths and English, and I hated it. I hated it. So I bumped out of college, which I was doing performing arts in, and I left, and then I went and did a city and guilds course, which is painting and decorating for kids that pretty much are just out of college and need somewhere to go. And I didn't really want to do that either. And then this woman coming to me in the street, Diane Ford,
Mm.
which came up to me in the street and asked me if I wanted to be a part of a scheme where they were taking disadvantaged lads out of, they were taking kids out of disadvantaged areas and putting them into arts. And I put my name down on the list. She come back to me. It folded because the council didn't give it enough funding. But she put me forward to a woman that owns a private dance college, Miss Anne Oliver, and they gave me a scholarship. And then, as I touched on before, my community paid for my dance kit. Getting that into that private college
Mm.
just like blew my mind. It
Yeah.
was like a movie, like Step Up, and with Channing Tatum in it, and it blew my mind. And then I was like, it was like a dream come true. And then when you have a dream come true moment, you kind of you kind of bask in it, and then you kind of think, well, what else is possible? What else can I achieve? And then I just, I really pushed into the training. I also ended up, getting into a lot of drugs when I was in college, but you know, the at the same time, I was always in college early, and I was always leaving late. I was dedicated
Yeah.
to college, and I progressed a lot for a kid in that environment that had no previous dance training, not professional training or classical training, of just
Yeah.
more self-taught, or like my local dance troupe. Um, so I was, within that environment, within that group, I was starting from a back pedal, but I had something as well that, something you can't teach, which is passion for it, which is, that self taught capability of being able to freestyle and stuff. And, I soaked up 3 years, and I left 3 years, and I went for my first job dancing on a cruise ship. And I can remember we'd come into Tenerife and we're going because of the Mediterranean cruise. I think it was actually a Caribbean, and we started in the Med and did the transatlantic. And as I'm driving up over the hill towards the cruise,
Yeah.
see it over the horizon, the ship. And I'd never seen a cruise ship before. And
Yeah.
I just like, I remember I was sitting there and I started to tear up in my eyes. I wasn't like sobbing, but I was crying. And I was just like, this is not real. Like this kid from the Bronx,
Oh,
one of the, deprived, most roughest areas in Leicester, a kid that, at one point was at the age of 15 was, within crime and drugs and getting like 35-year-old drug dealers that were threatening to kidnap him and being kidnapped by gypsies and all this other stuff. This chaos that I used to be involved in my life, which is just a small example of many more. Is now traveling the world on this giant mansion that is, going to travel to the Caribbean and like travel the world. It was
amazing.
it was unreal, and it was, I couldn't even imagine it. It was past my imagination at that point. And then it's when you start doing stuff like that, you're like, well, fucking, I can do anything. What can't I do? If I can do this, what can't I do? And then you have people like your dance teachers, like Diane Ford and these other people that share with you words of wisdom and share with you words of encouragement that say that actually you are capable of unlimitedness, of like unlimited magnificence. And you just got to work hard. You got to believe in yourself, and don't listen to the naysayers and just fucking
Yeah.
get up early, go bed late if need be, or just believe and accept that you're worthy for it. And life shows you it in different places. So that's what
Yeah.
that was my epiphany moment. That was one of the moments. But you never know in life, do you? I believe God's always giving you doors to go and better your life, and then He's always giving you doors that you can walk through to you go in the opposite direction. But would I have done something just as is the equivalent of this what I'm doing now of service of value if I never met that woman in the street? Was it within my destiny, or was it within my soul right to to continuously push myself until I developed in something that that made me feel that it was purposeful? And probably right. We attract what we are. The reason that woman that came up to me in the street is because I was a dancer. She knew I was a performer. She knew that I danced. I used to dance up the street with my headphones on. I used to dance on the corner when my mates would rap, MC. Like I attracted that into my reality, which is the reality. And it was just the point if somebody opened the door for me and I was willing to walk into it and give it all, there I manifested something out of it because I could have totally thrown away that opportunity. So, like,
Yeah.
are you aware? Are you awake to your blessings? And then are you ready to take advantage of them?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's true. So good. And just thank you, God, that it all happened and it all fell into place. And where it's going, do you know what I mean? For sure, definitely with my faith, 100% I believe it's God led and people are put into our lives for a reason. Yeah, so thank you. So obviously, with all that you're doing, with how busy you are, and with what I do, I'm all about kind of taking time out to focus on your own self-care, your own well-being, nurturing your soul. It's all about that. And I know how crazy busy you are. So I did want to just ask you, what do you do to take time out for yourself? And I always like to ask people their self care things that they do to encourage others, to give options to other people. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, what do you do to take time out for yourself?
Sometimes, it's sauna, it's, getting out with someone that's close to me, going for, an adventure, going for a walk. Me and some of the guys went the car journey down to Wales not so long ago. And or just watching some anime, just tapping out a bit, getting a takeaway, watching some anime, and yeah, a lot of the time I am always in process of planning stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I enjoy the things that I plan. So my downtime is also some of the stuff that I do for the events. It can be demanding to create the event, but when you're on it, it's like it's very relaxing, and there's a lot of beauty in it. If you're taking a lot of people to Wales for a hike up a mountain, or if you're going for a day trip, or if yeah, doing a retreat or just training with them. That's kind of my
Nice.
downtime, my training. Um,
Yes.
but it's very minimal. But like today,
Yeah.
saying that, like today's my day off. So today I'm on weekend shifts because I do a full-time job at the gym. But I've had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. So I'm on. We're on Thursday. Well, I don't have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you know, it's possibly, a bit of a little bit of goal ticking here, a little bit of emailing, a little bit of but and then a lot of just like today I've not done much. I just kind of got out of bed late,
Yeah.
later than usual. We're doing this podcast now, and I'm going to have some friends come round shortly
Yeah.
because one of them's leaving Leicester, so we're going to have we'll have a couple of beers and some pizza before he moves away. So it's just trying to make them. Once
That,
again, these men that will come around are all from my group. So, this is one of the beautiful things about it as well. So we're sharing these moments again. Um,
that's it.
so yeah, but I think, purposeful rest is important.
Yeah.
Getting around good people, having some time out, go dancing, go and do some
Yeah.
sports, or go for a walk through nature. Go on down the canal for a cold beer or something, or a smoothie, and then do some meditation, do some reading, get yourself in a sauna, all these kind of things here that are practical and good for rest. um
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah.
And that's what I mean. Even to highlight that you're working a full-time job and doing this as well, like
Obviously, a lot of people will be at a place in their life where they're doing a job and they want to pursue something else. And the reality is, like, I'm in full time work now in a job that I enjoy, that's aligned with my personal training. I'm a gym instructor, I do lifeguarding, climbing wall instructor, I do classes, etc. It's all great. It's not where I want to be for the rest of my life. It's only stationary. It's a part that applies,
yeah.
supplies my income and my balance to be able to, live, until I can transfer into coaching on a full time
Definitely.
basis and have the charity run itself as well. You have to understand that if you want to go to another place, if you're trying to create a new life for yourself, you have to have one foot in one door for majority of us, whilst we're creating
Yeah.
that new path, that new knowledge, that new experience for us to
Yes.
go into a new life. It is difficult. It is tiring. It is requiring you to do more. To put in just as much effort into your future as you do into this day. This 40-hour week. Do.
Yeah.
So understand, you will do it tired. You will do it, and it will be overwhelming at some time. But pressure's a privilege, and all that pressure is building you a resilience that's going to allow you to go into a new life with a sturdier soul and with more confidence. But you know, don't expect it to be easy. Expect it to be difficult,
Nice.
and then it's not a surprise. And then work your ass off for it. And then that's why when we say purposeful rest, rest is purposeful. It's not just, oh, I've got nothing to do. There should be always something to do, but you choose to rest because it's important for you.
Yeah, great advice. I like it. And even like you said, the reality, you're a great example of doing that. The changes that you want, it does take a lot of that tough work, working a full-time job, but being so dedicated and committed to it because you believe in it so much and you want it so much. So it does take a lot of hard work. So good for you, like seriously. Right. So looking into the future, tell me, what are your plans for expanding reach and impact of the Brotherhood Legion and all the other great things that you do? Like, tell us a bit about your vision, where you're seeing it all going.
So, well, this year, it's always to do bigger and better every year, which we have done year in, year out the past 3 years. But with this year, we've done more events. We've done more events. We're doing bigger events than we did last year. We're getting bigger acknowledgement, and we're creating a bigger community. But self-development wise, right now I'm in two courses. One to be a mental health and workplace and health and well-being instructor, so then I can instruct and do courses on health and well-being, and mental health and productivity and performance, and that lot, which is aligned with my coaching as a personal trainer. I could take that
Yeah.
into businesses, so that's going to be done within the next few weeks. So a lot more speaking, a lot more education coming up in the future. I'm training to be a GP referral PT as well at the minute, so that will be done by the end of the year. So then I can work with the NHS, taking on clients built around mental health and chronic conditions. So these are just little strings to add to the bow, but eventually, we'll have staff running sessions for the community interest company, and I will be a full-time self-development, mental health, and well-being life coach. So we'll be able to work on the finer points of what's holding us back, our barriers, our boundaries, and then breaking down old thought beliefs, and then catapulting them into a new version of themselves. A new painting of what they want for themselves in their future, and then taking that into businesses, taking it into businesses for communication together with individuals in the system of working together and self belief, and you know, basically breaking through the ceiling of what we believe we can achieve together for productivity and performance. So it's all about coaching. It's all about an alignment of coaching to more independence, and bigger events. That's sort of what we do, and then we want to help the youth. So
Yes.
we want to bring more youth sessions into this as well. Help people, help the younger generation, get into more schools, get into universities, try and influence the rising youth, and to unite and to collaborate, and to believe that they can achieve more.
Amazing stuff, like seriously, and I can see it all happening. It's already happening, like, do you know what I mean? So massive things are to come for you, and I wish you well with it all. Like seriously, the impact you're making amongst your community, within yourself, your whole growth, and what you've overcome. It's just amazing, inspiring, really encouraging, and uplifting. And I hope it really people are listening, and I hope it really appeals to people and really encourages them and motivates them to make some similar changes in their life. Right, because weird time is kind of restraint, constraint, whatever the word is. I just want to finish off, sadly, and there's so much more we could talk about, but how can people get in contact with you? Because I know that people would want to work with you. How do they access your services? How can they get in touch with you?
They can get in contact with me via our Instagrams, if it's at the Brotherhood Legion.cic or at the Sisterhood _Midlands. They can use our website, www.brotherhoodlegion.com, or brotherhoodlegion@hotmail.com. They can get at me on any of them. And then I'm also my own personal Reiss_NBP coaching. So
Thank you. And just to finish off, just before you go, can I just get some key advice? What advice would you give to somebody that is at a low state? They don't know where to start. Just what you spoke of, the pressures that you've experienced with some of your members. And what kind of steps would you take them to first start working on, like the first port of call, if they wanted to make some positive changes to their life?
I would say by letting go of other people's expectations and the guilt that you might be putting yourself through, just accepting that right now that you're at base, and that you need some support as well. If you're at that position where you're struggling mentally a lot with your rumination, and go to outreach groups, and also look for maybe some social networking online that is having a positive influence, and start trying to create an idea or a plan of what you want to do, and work on the smallest parts of it, and then just build on them on a daily basis. But you know start believing that better days are possible, and get around people that are trying to influence that as well. And I think that's the best way to start. Just to be like, okay, then I need help, or I'm at base. I don't care how silly I look, or how I might feel from starting from fresh, or you know or if I'm in a real bad mental state, reaching out and asking for help, because at the end of the day is the people that you feel might judge you are not the people that are helping you or saving you. And if you could do it on your own, then it wouldn't be a problem, because you'd be helped, you'd be sorted. You need support, so go and reach out, find that support, and then gradually start building on yourself slowly. But always have a little bit of hope, a little bit of self-belief that better days are coming, and that you deserve it as well. And that can be the hard thing, but get around people that affirm that in you as well.
I love it. Thank you. Such great advice, like seriously. And thank you as well, Reiss, for taking time out to sharing what you have done and just telling us all about the amazing things you do. And I know the people listening, they're going to be highly inspired and influenced, and you're going to motivate them to make some really good changes. So everything that you're doing, I wish you all the best. And like I said, just thank you for coming on today. And I hope you do come on again for another episode, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, but thank you so much once again, and thank you guys for listening. Seriously, until the next time, take care, you beautiful beings. Bye.
Okay, peace and love.